No, I'm not worried at all. I rely on God, Allah.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Life Haq podcast. Today with us, we have a special guest, somebody that I have actually admired from afar, from across the pond. But alhamdulillah, we have the pleasure and honor of having with us today Shaykh Haitham, Dr. Shaykh Haitham Al-Haddad. Welcome to the podcast, Shaykh. You are most welcome.
MashaAllah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah. Dr. Syed, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. How are you, Shaykh?
Alhamdulillah. Very good. MashaAllah. Tabarakallah. It is my pleasure to be with you. Jazakallahu khairan. And you are in Canada and I'm all the way in London. And hopefully, inshallah, we will have a discussion that covers the Atlantic as well. Yeah.
Yes. And alhamdulillah. Sheikh, you are, as I mentioned in my introduction, somebody I've admired for several years from afar. We've been active in the dawah here in Western Canada for over 20 years. So
MashaAllah,
and we haven't been really present in the online sphere until COVID. So COVID came and we started becoming more in the online world, and that in and of itself brought a lot of blessing, because we ended up connecting with a lot of the brothers in UK. And so we connected with Ustad Adnan Rashid. We connected with Dili Hussein. Previous to that, we had a program prior to COVID with Hamza Zorses. And so anytime I actually connected with any of these UK brothers, I always inquired about you. I said, how's the Sheikh? Because you're somebody that when you speak, I believe that the level that you are at, a lot of people don't appreciate a lot of the commentary that you are making, because it has a lot of wisdom within it, and that's why I'm really actually, like I said, I'm truly honored for you to be with us, and I want to try to extract as much of the barakah as possible, inshallah, from this conversation.
Astaghfirullah. First of all, we ask Allah Jalla Ala to conceal our mistakes and to pardon us for our shortcomings. And we always say that we ask Allah Jalla Ala to treat us according to His rahmah and mercy, not according to our reality. And we ask Allah Jalla Ala to cover our mistakes and shortcomings. And anyway, Jazakallah khairan for this beautiful introduction and for husnul dhann. Yeah. And I hope that I will be, inshallah, as you think of me. Yeah. I don't think I can manage that, okay, because you think so much of me, so highly of me.
Sheikh,
yeah? So Sheikh, I don't think I will match that. And I don't want you to use this tactic, which is, they said in competition, when you have a strong, opponent or a strong player against you, so try to put him up. So then just smash him. And then when you do that, khalas, that's the end of it.
So you think this is, I'm setting you up. I'm making softening you.
I don't know. I have to be careful these days of these, of the politicians, of the media people, etc.
Yeah.
And you've been inviting big people.
The doctors are but brothers of one another, right, Sheikh?
Yes, mashallah. Yeah. The people of knowledge. Yeah.
Yes.
As they say, al-ilmu rahimun bayna ahli. Al-ilmu is like the rahim, the kinship between the people of knowledge. Let us start.
So, Sheikh, there's a few, actually, on that note, there are a few contemporary issues that I feel can get people plugged in, hopefully, into this podcast, and also to start thinking about how there's a lot of links between what's happening currently that come up, which people end up becoming the topic of discussion, and also long-standing issues. So, for example, past few days and past few weeks in North America, this is primarily, you could say, US fueled issues, but it spills over into Canada. A lot of the way that the culture here in Canada is, a lot of what happens into the United States, it echoes in Canada. So some current issues that are hot topics are past a few weeks was the abortion issue. Now it's the gun violence issue. Okay. And now you have Muslims with these issues and many issues. You find many Muslims getting caught up, especially in social media, in the discussion. And oftentimes they feel compelled to either comment from a right-wing political spectrum perspective or a left-wing political spectrum perspective. Okay. So they feel like, I have to go into one of these two tribes and I have to be a part of one of those, parties to represent myself. Now, is this the right way of developing opinions? Should we have a different critical think or different methodology?
Yeah. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. The main reason for those brothers who join either camps is, to be honest with you, lack of knowledge of the reality of the what is happening in the non-Islamic Western civilization. Non-Islamic Western civilization. Number one. Number two is lack of spiritual or lack of spirituality or lack of iman. Okay, so these are the main two reasons for those brothers to show inferiority complex in front of the so-called Western non-Islamic ideas. And that what compel many of them just to adopt one of the non-Islamic Western ideas, whether that is to be the conservative view or the liberal view, but none of them is the Islamic view. And I'm really surprised that Muslims who are living in the West, they are suffering from this inferiority complex. Because the more I live in the West and the more I see the non-Islamic West, the more I realize that the Western civilization, the non-Islamic Western civilization, is in need of Islam to save it. Okay. And I remember an article that was written maybe 20 years ago. I forgot the author of the article. He said that the Western non-Islamic civilization is in need of Islamic fundamentalism. At that time, they were using fundamentalism or extremism in order to save the Western civilization. Okay. Because if you look at every single corner of the non-Islamic Western civilization, you see a rapid decline. Yeah. And it doesn't take the Muslim, the average Muslim, long to understand this. For example, in America, the shooting that took place just a few days ago. Yeah. Now, what does that mean? Can someone explain what does that mean? A young boy or a man, call him whatever you want to call him, just to grab a gun and then to kill 21 innocent children. What is this? This is a reflection of, is not a reflection of one element, because they normally say that the social political phenomena is a response to number of factors. It is not an outcome of one social or political or economical factor. It is an outcome of number of factors. Okay, so the education played a part, the culture played another part, the political system played a part, the media system played a part, the legal framework played also a part. So all of these contributed and produced criminals like that person. Okay. Now, now you might say, someone might say, well, this is the same applied when Muslims do something like this. When Muslims do something like this and they been living in the West, again, we agree that they are also the product of those elements, and they added to it some misconception, some ideological misunderstanding, or some ideological misconceptions. But if they have been living in the West, they are also a product of those elements that we have mentioned. Okay, this is an example. The shooting, the killing. If you talk about abortion, I don't think any sane person, any sane, reasonable person who witnesses what happens in this field, in the medical field regarding abortion, and he will or she will accept that this is ethical, this is humane, this is accepted. Okay. I don't know whether you have seen, I ask every single brother to Google, yeah, the images of aborted children. Yeah. And just by looking at the images of aborted children, you know, one time I was performing Hajj, and with me there was a doctor who is specialized in what is it, women, what is that especially called, and labor.
Yeah, OB-GYN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was asking him questions related to abortion, because I want to understand, you know, the fiqh perspective, and when a child can be aborted. And at that time, I remember one of the doctors, he was saying that the child, even if he is 40 days of age, yeah, he is alive, he is a living being. So I was asking that doctor, and that doctor started to explain to me what happens in abortion. Yeah. And that sometimes the child is being ripped off, is being cut off into pieces. The arm is cut, and sometimes it is difficult to take him out of the moon. So an arm will come in your hand, a leg will come. And he said, sometimes you hear the cry of the child. Wallahi, when he was describing it as a doctor, I told him, stop, stop. And I was about to vomit. Yeah, I could not handle this. Now, are you telling me that this is ethical? This is civilized? Yeah. Who on earth can accept this? Yeah. This is a murder. Okay, they are murdering the children. Now, in England, I forgot actually the exact figure, but they are talking about over 200,000 abortion every year. I don't know the figure in the United States. This is horrible. This is genocide. This is genocide that is taking place. And very few people are talking about it. And then they are talking about, well, the ethical non-Islamic Western civilization. This is another example. Okay, abortion. Okay, take the example of drugs. Yeah, take the examples of drugs. And you know, now, for example, in London, they are selling drugs everywhere. Drugs is destroying the children. I think they said that they are spending every year, I forget again the figure, something 60 billion or something, a huge amount, okay, to treat the problems related to drugs. And as a result of this, the children, the young people, they don't want to study, they are not committed, they are not mature, they want easy money, etc., etc., etc. Okay.
Are these legal drugs, Sheikh? Or are they like just they're all illegal? The drugs that you're
Whether
speaking
legal
of?
or the illegal drugs. Okay, even the legal drugs or class A drugs.
I'm not sure if you're aware in Canada, because some of the laws in recent years have changed, and now things like marijuana, cannabis are illegal, and
Yeah,
so we're seeing actually a rapid rise of cannabis use. Like I have many patients, like after you're 18 years old, just like alcohol, you can like ingest, smoke, whatever. You can imbibe cannabis as often as you want. So I have patients that is becoming very regular who use cannabis daily, Sheikh, daily
yeah,
use of
yeah, yeah,
cannabis.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm,
What's his
mm,
name? Uh, Michael Jackson, when he died. Okay, they
mm,
found that he is consuming on a monthly basis maybe drugs worth of more than 30,000 pounds,
mm,
$30,000. Okay,
mm,
it is a huge problem now.
mm,
Okay, see, we can talk more about such problems. By the way, as we are talking about this, I just came from Malaysia just last week, actually. And on the way to Malaysia, I took the Qatari Airlines from London to Doha and then from Doha to Kuala Lumpur. From Doha to Kuala Lumpur, subhanallah, the man next to me was a white British non-Muslim who served for the army. Yeah, who served in the
mm,
army. He served in Iraq and he served in Afghanistan, and we had the chat. He's a very, very nice gentleman and uh, educated, but he is well read. He knows a lot. Yeah, and he knows a
mm,
lot about Islam. And he's living in Malaysia. He liked Malaysia. He told me something interesting. Yeah, he told me that there is no doubt that the Islamic lifestyle is far better than the Western non-Islamic lifestyle. Here, I always like to use the Western non-Islamic lifestyle because there is a Western Islamic lifestyle and there is a Western non-Islamic, okay, or maybe anti-Islamic lifestyle. So, and among the things he said to me, look, uh, his father has 5 children, so there are 5 siblings. I think 3 daughters, 2 boys, or 3 boys, 2 girls. Anyway, he said all of us are the 5. We are above the 50s. Yeah, our 50s. He said we don't have a children, all of us. We just have one child,
mm.
and that child came by mistake. Okay,
Subhanallah.
imagine this. So he is basically saying that within 20 years, when we all die, the offspring of our father will vanish, will come to an end. And he said this is a reflection of what is happening in the non-Islamic West. Yeah, and which is something that is well known. There is a rapid decline in the population, and this point, which is the rapid decline of the population. I always use it as a challenge whenever someone is challenging me about the Western lifestyle and the modernity and the backward Islam and the backward Muslims, etc. I say, okay, whatever you say, can you explain to me why there is a rapid decline in the population?
Mm,
Yeah. And okay, can you provide a solution for that? And at that point, no one can give me an answer. No one.
mm,
No one. And I challenge every single thinker, in every single non-Islamic thinker, to provide me
mm,
a solution for this problem, because they can't solve it. They can't solve it. In Denmark, they said in 2050 there will be no
mm,
single indigenous, Danish
mm,
family. either mixed race or just foreigners. Yeah. And in Austria or Switzerland, they started to give incentives, for those who have 4 children. And they say that why do we need to bring immigrants? Let us encourage our people to have children. Okay, they don't want to have children, and sometimes they use this silly excuse that the world, this planet is overpopulated. But actually, even if they say this, they are talking about India, they are talking about China. What about Europe? You are desperate to keep the balance, but they are unable to do so. And the question is why? They don't have an answer. We have an answer, because once the person doesn't have the right worldview, this person will say, why do I need to bring children? Why do I need to work day and night to feed those children? Let me just enjoy my life. Let me do this and that. Okay? Unless they change the worldview, which is the aqidah, quote unquote, then they wouldn't be able to solve this problem. Yes.
Sheikh, don't you find it ironic for societies that touts itself to be the champion of human rights have lost their humanity? You have people like who, when they look at death, look at the what you spoke about.
This is a joke. To be honest with you, this is a joke.
Because they when you talked about like somebody having like almost like numbness to death, going and killing 19 children, elementary school children, 2 teachers. And this is not something that is an anomaly, right? It happens regularly in the United States, for example. You have, as you mentioned before, how many children, and the process, honestly, it is really gruesome how you described how, that process of abortion, which ironically, by the way, Sheikh, when they speak about it as like an issue of rights for women, right? Ironically, like it is females that are aborted the most, right? Statistically speaking, because like, when you look at India and China and you put the global statistics together, when they do the ultrasound, many of them, when they find out it's a female, they're more likely to abort it. Statistically, they're aborted far more. So if you're saying about women's rights, the women are the one that are suffering the most, right, through this process. But why have we become so numb to all this death?
Exactly. The mothers themselves, the mothers who aborted the children, they are suffering so many consequences after the abortion. So, but just because of the social pressure, the financial pressure, whatever kind of pressure, they just want to get rid of the children. And see, when they talk about women's rights, in the United States, I remember the statistics, maybe, in England, let us forget about the United States, because I have some statistics that is quite old. But in England here, do you know that every week there are 2 or 3 women are killed in the UK? And those who are killed, most of them are killed by their ex-partners, by someone whom they know. How many rapes are reported in the UK? I think the figure is 100 and something. Women raped. Raped or suffered from sexual harassment. On a daily basis. Figures. I think in America it was a lady that is raped every 3 minutes, something like this. So those figures, do they reflect that the non-Islamic West managed to protect women's rights?
You know, the counter argument that they make is they look at military, well, to a certain degree military, but materialistic success. They look at materialistic success. So they say, oh, look at how materially successful women are. Look at how materially successful Western societies are compared to Muslim societies. So this is their counter argument. They look at it from a purely materialistic measure.
Okay.
You know.
With let us discuss this. Let us discuss this point, because this is, I agree with you, and let us have a deep discussion. This is okay. There is a deep discussion, which is, what is the definition of a civilization? What do you think? What is the definition of a civilization?
Perhaps I can, I wouldn't be able to quote an exact dictionary definition, but we could say what marks a civilization. I would say what marks a civilization is cohesion within the community, the ability for individuals within that community to grow, to meet their potential. There is a mark of a civilization would be what they leave behind for future generations and what they establish, for the future, right?
Okay. Yeah. Let me put it in another way. What is the purpose of a civilization?
A purpose of the civilization would be, I would say one of the purposes would be for it to sustain itself and for it to grow.
Okay, so to grow, yeah. But there is a deep discussion here, and down the line, to cut it short, they say the purpose of a civilization is to make people, flourish and be happy. Because if the civilization makes people unhappy, then there is no point of it. Agree or not?
I would say idealistically, but then we know civilizations have occurred and continue to occur where it's not necessarily the concern of people in general, but the concern, at least a certain portion, need to be happy of that.
Okay. So this leads to another discussion. Okay. People who are, the civilization is built on people. So those people who are building the civilization, so they want to be happy. Okay. This is one of their main goals of building a civilization. That's why a civilization entails a good social care system. Yeah. Civilization entails a good healthcare system. Yeah. Civilization entails a powerful country. Civilization. So if you have the best healthcare system, the best social system, the best military, but people are killing themselves and they are depressed, how on earth do you define this as a civilization? Yeah. And individuals will say, I don't care. I just want to be happy. Yeah. I want to be happy. So if people are not happy, this is one thing. And then the other thing is, okay, maybe the West has, was building itself, and many non-Islamic Western countries, they were rising and they built and established themselves, but they reached to the peak and they started to have an ethical decline. And that can be the start of the decline of the entire civilization. Okay. So they were successful because they used to have certain conservative values. And now they are leaving those values. Who guarantees that they will remain in power and remain successful as they were? So this argument that, look how successful we are. Yes, you are successful now, not because of your liberal values. No, because you worked hard in the past, yeah, and you reached the peak, and now you are adopting liberal values. So those liberal values, we need to wait and to see whether you are going to continue successful or not. And the reality that we see, that is visible in front of our eyes, that take just the element of take the elements of birth rate, yeah, the decrease in birth rate, and we see that, oh, there is a rapid decline. Take the example of killing, murdering. Take the example of the consumption of drugs. Those do not reflect a successful, happy, yeah, society. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I think, Sheikh, perhaps could be a subtle point, is that it's a key factor, morality and these values, right? These moral values, these traditional values, that essentially humanity has recognized since there's been like existence of record keeping, right? There's certain values that we have recognized, and these are the values that you've actually built civilizations upon and sustained civilizations upon. When you abandon those values at a core level, then that society is no longer sustainable, even though you may be able to be temporarily materially successful, or to be able to be powerful, or have some type of geopolitical dominance, right? So for example, whether we look at the Mongol Empire, or we look at the empire of colonialism, or the US empire, or even if we look at it at a macro level, right? If we look at it as material success, that is the gauge of whether or not the person is quote unquote on the right path, then if you look at a neighborhood that has a mafia that controls it, and the kid grows up in that neighborhood and says, I want to join the mafia because they have the money, they have the cars, they have everything. He says, no, that's not the right thing to do. It's like, but my father, who works every day hard, goes to work day in and day out, barely can put food on the table. I want to be a gangster, I want to be a gang member, right? So it's the same type of argumentation, that you look at what's like materially successful, but it's never sustainable. You never see a mafia guy retiring with grandchildren and running around him and like a successful life. You don't see people who persist on injustice being able to sustain that society, right? So
Exactly.
I think what,
exactly.
what
Yeah.
I mean?
Exactly.
And so that's what we're seeing within
Yeah.
this society here, is that back in the times of like middle ages, right? If a king really wanted to punish you, Sheikh, like if a king wanted to give you like a torture, lifelong torture, he's gonna make sure that you don't have any progeny. I'm gonna kill all your
Yes.
children. I'm gonna cut off your bloodline. One of the ways that
Yep.
you would destroy a person, like from the inside, completely crush the spirit of a person, you're not going to have any progeny anymore. Your bloodline will not live
Yep.
on. That would crush. That'd be the most ultimate thing. People say, no, kill me, let my children live, right? Now we are so numb to death and so self-destructive, we are actually killing our bloodline and ourselves.
Yep. And that's why you see the issue is, when people say, you were talking about the counter argument, and they say how successful we are from a materialistic perspective. We say, first of all, how did you judge it? Yeah, how did you judge it? Maybe if a person says, look, I have £1 million, so this means, or $1 million, this means that I was successful. Maybe if you do something else, you could end up with $10 million. Yeah. So why did you say that $1 million, it means that I'm successful? This is one thing. And the other thing, why did you say that materialism is successful? Yeah. Why did you say that? Some people might say, well, maybe happiness is success. Okay. Maybe having good health is success. Look, this materialism is not bringing happiness to us, is not improving the lifestyle, is not improving the health of the people. The health is in decline. We are suffering. Okay, the world is exploding. There are so many pandemics that are coming other than the COVID-19. Yeah. So who said that okay, they are successful? In the UK, they said that within in Europe, they said in 2030, 1 out of 5 people will be depressed. Yeah, 1 out of 5 people or men will be depressed, and they say that depression and other mental illnesses will be the biggest illness, yeah, in Europe. So now those mental illnesses, do they reflect that people are happy? Is this a civilization? Anyway, see, yeah, I don't want just to keep talking about this point, because I think for me, the more I live, it is very clear. The point is our Muslim brothers.
Yes.
Those Muslims who are suffering from inferiority complex, and they are looking at, you know, the non-Islamic West as the haven, or they look at it as the model, and they look at our Muslim world that is, you know, there is corruption there, fighting, killing, etc. That look, all of this is happening because of Islam. Yeah, those people, we need to be active in explaining the reality to those people. Yeah, that is the most maybe the most important part that we as dua need to focus on, is how to reach out to those people, how to convince them, how to articulate our ideas, how to show them the reality, so they will not think that the Deen of Allah Jalla wa Ala is a source or as a reason for backwardness. Yeah. And then ultimately they think that Sharia or Islam in general is not compatible to modernity, and in order for us to be modernized, or in order for us to be advanced, we have to abandon Islam, or at least they say that we have to adopt a secular version of Islam, whereby Islam is just limited and confined to the masajid, yeah, and does not go outside the masjid.
You know, Shaykh, what's also interesting, I feel that, like, these are good reflections to have, because for you, Shaykh, I can tell it's really innate and it's self-evident, you know, the success of Islam. But, you know, I would say, and if we look at it psychologically speaking and statistically speaking, a good measure and a more authentic measure of people's happiness is relationships in their life, right? And one could say, if you look at some of the statistics, an increase in material accumulation has a negative influence on relationships. You know what I mean? So, for example, they've done studies where they found people who have won the lottery, you know, so they get like millions of dollars. All their relationships suffer, Sheikh. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
of course.
You know, it has a deleterious effect on all their relationships, and relationships with human beings, especially with your family and community members. This is one of the most significant factors of having, as you mentioned before, mental well-being, internal well-being.
Yeah.
And we are putting ourselves in a position where you're chasing this material end, which actually has an opposite effect on the happiness that you're seeking.
Yeah. It is. See, I think media, okay, media plays a major role in faking what success is and what happiness is. Okay, and this is, by the way, this is a huge problem. You know, a few years ago, I was in Malaysia 3 years ago, apart from this last visit, and I was with a professor who is kind of maybe a consultant to the government. And I said to him, look, and we were using public transportation, the metro or the train. And I said, look around you. What do you see? You see those young people, they are carrying the latest mobile, looking at the mobile 24/7, and look at the advertisement with the advertisement in the mobile phones they see, or the billboards and the posters and all the advertisements. All those advertisements are talking about the latest, maybe the latest trousers, the latest clothes, the latest brands, the latest, and showing the young people jumping and, happy and smile, etc. This is what the young people are receiving everywhere, in the news, in the on the on in in the advertisements, in front of them, in the screens, in the streets, everywhere. So in their minds, life is about what? Just enjoying it. Yeah. And that's why even the level of the committed young people, those who want to work hard, is decreasing in so many places. In the UK here, even this white person that I sat next to him, I asked him about this. He said, "Yeah, this is visible. This is evident that the white people now, they are not hardworking people as they used to be before." Okay, and we see it. When we come across white people, they are not like what they used to be before. And we see it within our children now. Yeah. We see it with the children in general. They want easy money, and all what they think of is the latest mobile phone. They are thinking of the latest brand, or the latest clothes of this brand, that brand, etc. So now all of this is fake. It doesn't give the right image about the reality and the challenges they are going to face in their life. And as a result of this, they are not sophisticated enough from this perspective to understand the reality of this life. And that's why they can be fooled easily when they say, when the West, the non-Islamic West, is presenting their model that come to us. We have the latest technology. We have the freedom. You can do whatever you want to do. You can enjoy your life. So they live in this illusion that this is the model. This is the right model of a happy life. Yeah. And this is really very worrying. This is very worrying. I hope that my point is clear.
No, your point is clear. And basically from that point, I want to segue into something that I wanted to actually it's a perfect segue into what I wanted to talk to you about. And I want you to comment on the statement. There are many well-intentioned yet ineffective Muslim men in our community. What are your thoughts? Is there any truth to that statement?
Say that again, sorry.
There are many well-intentioned, so they have good niyyah, but they're ineffective. They're incapable. They don't have. They're not able to enact a significant influence in society or do anything, bring about any real positive change within society or even their own lives. So there's many well-intentioned but ineffective Muslim men in our community. Would you say there's any truth to that statement?
Yeah, definitely. Because, see, they don't understand the reality of this life. They don't have the right worldview. Yeah. They don't see things in a macro level. They just see things in a micro level. Yeah. There are some other factors to this. They don't live with as groups, communicating with others, and as teams, working with others. So there are individuals that their ego is increasing, the sense of individualism, okay, is increasing, and as a result of all of these factors and some other factors, they become really ineffective. Yeah, they might have good intention, but that is not enough.
I've divided it into two categories, so then we can get more, like as you like to do, to get into like deeper within the topic. So let's divide the say this general malaise of well-intentioned yet ineffective men that we want to change the condition of. So let's say there's two categories. Let's divide these into two categories. One category are, say, like our scholars, our talib al-ilm, our students of knowledge, our du'at. Let's divide one into this group, and another group of just the general person, just the general man, the awam. Okay, so if we look at this group of the people of knowledge, what do you feel are specific areas which is causing them to be ineffective? Because I've heard you mention before, quoting statistics about how many people who have graduated from Dar al-Ulum or Azhar or graduates of Medina, and yet they're ineffective in the communities. Is it because they don't know how to because of the secularization, they feel that they're handcuffed, they can't do anything? Why are all these people who are hafid al-Quran and they have this ilm, why are they so ineffective in our communities?
Okay, number of reasons. Okay, number of reasons. Maybe it might take us a little bit away from the original discussion, but that is fine. Okay, and this is really a very important discussion, very important area that we need to understand. There are a number of reasons for their effectiveness. Okay, one main reason for طلاب العلم is that the ilm they are studying, they are not studying it in a contextualized way that enables them to be effective in these societies. Okay, again, they are not studying the ilm in a contextualized way that enables them, that empowers them, that equips them with the needed tools to be effective in different societies. For example, I'll give you a simple example. Although that example is, alhamdulillah, now some people are trying to maybe overcome this example. When we study the books of Aqidah, most of the books of Aqidah are focusing on the Ash'ari Athari Khilaf. So if you are Ash'ari, you study Ash'ari books, and they are refuting the Athari or Salafi kind of Aqidah. If you are studying the Salafi Athari Aqidah, you are focusing on the points of khilaf with the Ash'aris or the Maturidis or maybe the Sufis, and they are refuting them. Okay, but which books of Aqidah are talking about some ideological challenges that we are facing now? Okay, the isms. Okay, start from Darwinism. Okay, atheism, even liberalism, even feminism. Which books of Aqidah are focusing on those challenges? None. You have to study extra. And not all institutions teach these things. Agree or not?
Yes.
So this
would
is
you
problem.
say, though, to a certain degree, like with the discussions around Tawheed Hakimiyya, that's been done, like that's probably the most contextualized discussions with Aqidah?
Even the discussion regarding Tawheed Al-Hakimiyya is not discussed in appropriate way, to be honest with you. It is discussed mainly in a way that polarizes the people. Okay. And it is not discussed in a proper, calm, contextualized way that enables those people who study and understand the importance of referring to the law of Allah Jalla Ala to be able to provide solutions for the contemporary challenges that they are facing. Yeah. Okay. It is, they are discussing it in a way that, oh, look, those who are not taking Allah Jalla Ala as the legislator, they are the kafirun, or they are the zalimun, or they are the fasiqun. Then here the another discussion is opened, which is, do we make takfir on them, or they are just the zalimun, or they are the fasiqun? They forget about the essence of this and how to bring about the divine law to the life of people as much as we can, so they can live by that. Okay, this is an example. Okay, this is an example
Yes.
of how, and see, and when the students stay for 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, maybe in the alim course, studying those matters of aqidah, khalas, the mindset of the person becomes tunneled. Yeah, the mindset of the talib and become tunneled, and he wouldn't be able to face those challenges of liberalism, yeah, feminism, secularism, and so on, those contemporary challenges. So this is
Yes.
a simple example. Take another
Yes.
example in fiqh. Yeah, when we study the classical books of fiqh, the classical books of fiqh don't focus on the wisdom, yeah, behind the ahkam, yeah, the intellectual wisdom behind the ahkam. So I'll give you an example. Hajj is about to start. You need to study some other contemporary books, like the books of مثلا Muhammad Qutb, Syed Qutb, maybe Abu al-A'la al-Mawdudi, in particular, in order to understand the deep meanings of Hajj, yeah, which is the universality of the Ummah, and the international meeting that is taking place, okay, and the empowerment of the Ummah, uh, feeling, the feeling that you are part of a historical Ummah, and these different meanings. Now, when you study Hajj as a pure ritual thing, yeah, all, look, subhanallah, a few days ago, a young brother, he said to me, Sheikh, I'm planning to go for Hajj. I have a question for you. I said, yeah, go ahead. He said, what is your view regarding wearing the sandals that have a stripe from, behind the ankle? I said, yani, you are going for Hajj for the first time. This is what is occupying your mind now. And this is the question you want to ask me about. And you are a young person, a talib ilm. He said, well, actually, we took a course a few days ago as a preparation for Hajj. And the Shaykh, who is well-known speaker, he was talking about this, that no, listen, don't wear the uh, normal boots, wear the sandals because of this and that. Now, look how we shaped, how we dumped the mindset of the people, that we made Islam a very ritualistic religion. Yeah, we made those 5 pillars as ritualistic pillars that has no major impact on our life. In fact, we do not understand the deep meanings of salah. We do not understand the deep meanings of zakah, of fasting, of hajj. Now, talib al-ilm, who is studying in this classical way, all what he focus on is those minor fiqhi ritualistic elements. Now, can you tell me that this person who is studying fiqh from this perspective is able to talk to the young generation and is able to uh, help the ummah to rebuild its civilization? Impossible. Yeah. And that's why,
Yes.
in Malaysia, I gave the khutbah just not last Friday, the week before that, the Friday before that. It is, I think, available online. Yeah, that I said to the Islamic University of the International Islamic University of Malaysia, IIUM. I said to them, when you study any science, any subject, whether aqidah, whether fiqh, whether tariq, whether seerah, do you feel that you are studying it in a way that empowers you and enables you to participate in building Islam as a great civilization as it was before? Yeah. And I am telling you, no. Yeah. No.
Yes.
We can't. And simply, when you study fiqh, yeah, where do you study the political system? Where do you study the financial system? Where do you study the social system? You just study, okay, classical masail, disconnected, not as systems. Now, see, that might be suitable uh, for maybe people who lived in the past. That was suitable for a particular context when Khilafah was established, and people they understand Islam in a holistic way. But now we do not understand Islam in a holistic way. So keep studying those books without addition, okay, will be counterproductive. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. And look, I'll give you another example. If we talk about financial system, the books of fiqh, when they talk about riba, they are talking about riba based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, hadith Ubadah, الذهب بالذهب والفضة بالفضة مثلا بمثل. Okay, هاء وهاء, different narrations. or الذهب بالذهب والفضة بالفضة والبر بالبر والتمر بالتمر والشعير بالشعير والملح بالملح. Yeah, مثلا بمثل يدا بيد فمن زاد أو استزاد فقد أربع. Now, none of these books of fiqh are talking about the actual money that we use now, the paper money, isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
If the teacher is an open-minded person and he started to educate them about the paper money, okay, let alone crypto money, okay, and these types of money, these students will have no clue about these contemporary issues.
Are they being taught this way because there's an assumption that there is no real like Islamic system where like outside of like say a bubble of like haram and halal and ritualistic actions where Islam will have an influence in a domain? You know what I mean? So they're not training them say with engaging with like the financial or political system because, for example, Muslims in the West, your Islam has no place there and it has no influence there. So you just stay within your bubble, within the masjid, within the center, like halal and haram, these ritualistic acts. Is there already a mentality of surrender? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Not really, because this is happening in the Muslim world. Yeah, this is happening in Medina University. This is happening in Imam Muhammad ibn Saud. This is happening in Azhar. This is happening in Zaytuna.
But even there, in those, like they understand that society isn't like a society where we know, truly speaking, like an Islamic system for an Islamic system to even occur in many of our Muslim countries, there needs to be significant reform in how those countries are operating.
Yeah. So this is
on a
this is
I think
part of
even
it.
from an institutional level, they're just looking at it. Okay, this is we're training you for a role that's limited. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's as if people say, oh, like they're so concerned with the madahib and even the aqidah, but I feel that the greatest concern is like people are actually the madhab most people are practicing is the secularized Islam. That Islam,
Yes.
even though it's supposed to do 1 to 100, you can only do 1 to 10. Here's your list. Go have fun.
Yes, I totally agree on this point. I totally agree. And see, I submitted an academic paper a few years ago in Arabic about reforming the educational system within the Sharia colleges. Okay, and I surveyed the main schools, whether it is the Indian subcontinent school, the Saudi kind of a school, the Sham school, the Egyptian school, Azhar Egyptian, okay, and the Moroccan, the Western Islamic world, okay, Morocco, and Algeria, Mauritania, etc. Who is teaching in those universities? Management. Who's teaching Muslims? Who's teaching طلاب العلم just simple management? While management is so important for the success of individuals and organizations. Yes or no?
Of course.
In fact, one of the biggest weaknesses of the Muslim Ummah is poor management. Yeah. Holland.
Shaykh, I can tell you like observing du'at and scholars for like over 2 decades, I would say even on a personal level, too many of our du'at and scholars are living mismanaged personal lives. Like their schedule is chaotic, their family are chaotic, like everything is in chaos, like personally for them.
Yeah. And this is an element of it, which is the schedule is chaotic, but management goes beyond that. Okay, understanding your vision, understanding your relationship with others, and how you will lead a successful life, etc. So look, Holland, how big Holland is? Yeah, what is the population of the Dutch people? Is not even 20 million people, 20 million, and just over 100 years ago, the Dutch people managed to control Indonesia for almost 300 years. Yes or no?
Yes.
Britain, that small island, maybe ruled half of the universe. Yeah. Britain, that is small island, managed to whatever you call it, maybe fool or whatever, the Indians to work for them to kill their Indian brothers and sisters. Is that true or not? Yeah.
Yes.
So the point is, how did they do that?
They did this with China as well. They did it with China as well.
They did this with China and with other places. One of our biggest problems as Muslims is poor management. Okay. Now, do dua study something related to management? No. Yeah. In all these Islamic universities, do they study management? No. Okay. Leave management. Social sciences.
No, they don't.
Our da'wah is nothing but social change, isn't it? So we need social sciences. We need humanities. We are not studying these. We are not teaching these in those Islamic colleges and institutions. Yes or no? Okay.
Yeah.
Let alone studying the political system. Come on, akhi. After all of these years, we are still arguing vote or not to vote, vote or not to vote. Okay, this is what we argue about. Okay, we don't have a clear idea about the Islamic political system. It is only maybe Abu A'la al-Mawdudi wrote about it and just a few thinkers here and there. Okay, do they study that? Okay, when you study the books of fiqh, when you study jihad, and it says that it is fardu aynin, yeah, obligatory upon every single Muslim. And when طلاب al-ilm read this, and they say, oh no, so no one is applying Islam, no one is implementing Islam, so they will have a problem. That's why some طلاب al-ilm joined the likes of Daesh and Al-Qaeda, etc. They are good people, but they have misunderstood the whole thing. Why? Because they did not study it. Why? Because the books of fiqh, the classical books of fiqh that are taught to them were written 500 years ago when there was a khilafah and an Islamic state. So now we are living in a different context. How to deal with that, we have no idea. And that's why the du'at, as you said in the beginning, they are ineffective.
Yes.
Now,
and
of
Shaykh,
course,
I think,
and we are not generalizing. There are always exceptions.
Yeah, no, there is, obviously we can't paint everybody with one brush, but from my observation, I agree with you. I feel that when it comes to development of holistic branches of knowledge, of other branches of knowledge, and essentially how to integrate Islamic knowledge to change society. You know what I mean? If we look at the dawah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, many of the Sharia rulings came in Medina, right? So there is in tandem, you have the values, you have like the core messages being given, but in tandem, there's a facilitation of those like of Islam, like in the hearts and the minds to be present in the reality in the world around you, right? Whether it's like your institutions, your change, your financial institutions, political institutions, all of those different things. It has to be reflective. You know what I mean? So I think what people have resigned to, unfortunately, with their concept of Islam, is that we're going to learn, these different, these branches of knowledge classically within Islam, but it's almost like an unsaid rule that it's really not going to fundamentally change the status quo.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
has been established.
Yeah.
And I think that has led to a big defeatist mentality with, and you see, that's what I've seen. SubhanAllah, people who have spent much of their life studying Islam, and within a few years, they become disheartened because, when you have this knowledge, it's like, for example, Sheikh, like you were training for a competition, and then they tell you, actually, you cannot really compete. Like, this is just fake. You cannot compete in the real competition. This is just theoretical. Then the person becomes even more demotivated. You know what I mean? So this is what I see with a lot of the tulab al-ilm and the du'at. And that's why I feel this is another big drive where you've seen some of them have gone into social media because they feel, hey, this is somewhere where I feel I can do something, right? Because in my community, I Sheikh, just in Ramadan, there was literally a young imam just begging the board members of that masjid to respond to his email. He said, I want to do a youth program. I've been sending you. They gave him a chance during Ramadan, during like the break between Tarawih, to like give a reminder. He said, I've been begging. He said, this is the only time I get. I'm begging you to respond to my email. We need to do youth programs. He said, I have so many ideas.
Look,
and I see this is happening like as like something being repeated, that you have these people, maybe they become very idealistic energy, and then within a short period of time, it just goes down.
Absolutely. Of course. As we said, that there are a number of factors that contributed to this, but we are highlighting one of the main factors. Okay, طيب. Let us move to another point. Or
In terms of like just to end with this, like, in terms of, like, having well-intentioned but ineffective men within our society, because we're looking at, of course, the men to be at the forefront leaders of our families, of our communities, and whatnot. What is a meaningful way we can change that for us to now
yep,
have effective? How can we have
yeah,
some meaningful change to have effective men in our community?
yeah, very good, very good, very good point. See, we need, yeah, we need a comprehensive tarbiyah system.
Mm.
Okay, again, we need a comprehensive tarbiyah system, and that tarbiyah system should first produce number of du'at who understand the bigger picture and what we want to achieve as a community or as an ummah, okay, especially as an ummah in the West. And those individuals will be able to produce more people, and gradually there will be a shift, there will be a transform of the masses. In the beginning, we need to follow the model of the Prophet ﷺ, where he was giving tarbiyah to a small group of people. They were giving that transformational tarbiyah in Dar al-Arqam ibn Abil Arqam, yeah, for number of years. We don't need to follow the exact number of years that we do Sirri Da'wah, 3 years, etc. No, okay, these were just contextualized, ways. So we need to build a few people, and the few people will build other people, and other people will build other people. And then when that goes to the masses, of course, we might not be able to build the masses, but we will be able to influence the masses. And yet, okay, in the meantime, there will be a core, yeah, or a bulk of people who receive tarbiyah, and they are influencing the masses positively. Okay, so those, yani those elite, you can say, or those, call them whatever you call them, they have to go through a tarbiyah system, a comprehensive tarbiyah system, and then they will be able to pass this system fully, partially, to the masses. This is what we need. Okay. And again, I said we need a comprehensive tarbiyah system.
Sheikh, what are your thoughts on what happened during, like, the the time period before the coming of Salah ad-Din Ayyubi, with the revival of Sunni, with like Nizam al-Mulk and the Nizamiya schools and things like that? Do you think
Yeah.
that's
See,
like a similar type of model that was effective?
you see, we have to be careful, Yahi, in the historical accounts, regarding the historical accounts, because the context is totally different. Time is totally different. However, we need to benefit from any historical success. Yeah. And the point is that we as Muslims need to maybe change the educational system, okay, to make it a full comprehensive tarbiyah system. Yeah.
Yes.
And that, in order for that to happen, this is a long process, but it is needed, and we have no option but to go through it. Okay. And then there will be some flexibility regarding different contexts, different spaces, how to apply this transformation in the educational system.
So just to switch gears here, Shaykh, where do you think is the greatest potential for revival right now in the Muslim world? Like, where do you see the seeds of revival have the greatest potential right now?
See, the way I see it, Yahi, is that there is no, there might be a single place, yeah, or a particular place, but look at the universe, look at the world. We need revival everywhere. Okay, revival everywhere, and then that revival, okay, everywhere, it will support each other. So the revival of Islam and Muslims in America will help the revival of Islam and Muslims in the West. That will help the revival of the Muslims in the Middle East. That will help the revival of Muslims maybe in China, in India, and so on. And then naturally, that revival, okay, should be pushed in the right direction, and that should lead to kind of federal system or any system of unity between the main players of that revival, main political players of that revival. Maybe 3, 4, 5 Muslim countries that has gone through that revival, they can come together and be united. And then, okay, these countries, when they are united, they become a superpower. They should become a superpower. They should have a veto right. Maybe by that time, the United Nations will change upside down. However, the point is Muslims will be one of the main global players. Okay, and then once we see Islam and Muslims like this, then we will see a rapid change globally. This is how, yani, I'm giving you a summary of the revival of the Ummah in my point of view.
Do you see signs of that in like Erdogan or Imran Khan? You know, some Muslims have like looked at these two leaders particularly as a source of optimism, you know, because of some of their pan-Islamic rhetoric, you know, some of the, you know, things that they've stated, you know, where other leaders have remained silent. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, see, to be honest with you, the matter for many Muslims, especially young people, are still emotional, immature. So when you mention certain personalities, then immediately they will switch into either a personal paradigm, okay, or some other paradigm, and the discussion will be shifted to something that is useless. Okay, Erdogan, yes. Oh, is he Islamic? Is he not Islamic? Yeah, Erdogan, is he helping the Ummah? He's not helping the Ummah, but he received the Israeli president, okay, recently. No, he is hypocrite, not hypocrite. And we will miss the point. Yeah. Our point is not Erdogan. Yeah, but so that's why I prefer not to discuss that, and it is not a crucial thing.
But I would say not necessarily as a personality, but signs in those leaders that at least show some like positive trend towards the principles that you're touting.
Well, this is
not necessarily the personality themselves.
This perspective, from this perspective, yeah. But see, yani, if we say, مثلا, that so there is a revival in Turkey, and imagine that there is a revival in Pakistan, and those countries are led by the right people, so that those two countries can have kind of unity between them. and one country is 80 million and Pakistan is 100 and maybe 60 million. So you are talking about 240 millions. Okay. And if another country joined them, so that will become a real, a real power. Okay. But this might be quite far. We need now to focus on just building ourselves and influencing the masses and reaching to influential positions so we can take the right decisions. This is just a summary of the way I feel the revival of the Ummah can take place or can happen. Sorry.
And I think, Sheikh, that the way that you're articulating it gives a path for everyone to do something. Because, we were kind of joking about conspiracy theories at the beginning. And, and now that we're talking about, people almost being attached to the personality or commenting on other issues, it's always in the sphere of like just rhetoric and not something where you are actually making an impact with your own actions in real time in the real world, right? So I think that's an important point which you've made, is that wherever you are, whenever you can, to make that impact and help move towards the end. I would say perhaps just rephrasing it, that we need to get in love with the process maybe of revival and not necessarily the end goal.
Yeah,
go ahead, Sheikh.
yeah, I agree. But we need to, which is related to what you said. We need to understand the revival methodology, the roadmap. Okay, because that helps a lot. Because if we do not understand it, we will lose many of our shabab. Some of them will join Daesh, some of them will join these things. They think that this is the way for the revival of the Ummah, and we will lose them. So that's why, inshallah, we are in a process of producing something regarding the revival of the Ummah and how it can happen. Okay.
I know
are
you're
we
super
done
tired
for today?
No, Sheikh, you gave us you were too generous with your time, Sheikh. We really appreciate everything. We do also, by the way, maybe in the future we can show you, we have like a Tarbiyah retreat for young adults and professionals and things like that.
Excellent.
That we've been doing from, I think, 2005. We've been doing this, so it's a really transformative. It's like everything. Like we're talking about the aql and the spirit and the physical. Like it's a really comprehensive like Tarbiyah program that we have done, for quite a while. So maybe in the future, inshallah, if you're available, we can invite you to one of those.
Inshallah, that is the beginning, and inshallah, in the near future, we will discuss, inshallah, more topical issues. Yeah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Barakallah feekum.
Barakallah feek, ya akhi. Jazakallah khair.
To all our viewers, we're really pleased to have Sheikh Haitham with us. And as always, we live by the haqq, we die by the haqq. And just when you think life is stuck, tune in to Life Haqq. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.